I am old now. My hands shake when I try to light the stove. My knees hurt when I stand too long. But the night my son threw me out of the house, that pain is sharper than any ache in my body. I raised him alone after his father died. I worked wherever I could. I cleaned offices before sunrise, stitched clothes late into the night, cooked food for neighbors on weekends. I skipped meals so he could eat properly. I wore the same dress for years so he could wear new ones to school. That house he called his, I paid for it with my youth. When he grew up, got a good job, got married, I stepped back. I stayed quiet. I made myself small so his life could feel big. Mothers do that. We disappear slowly and call it love. At first, it was small things. Don't interfere. You won't understand. Times have changed. I swallowed everything. Then one evening, after a small argument, he said the words that changed my life. "You're a burden," he said. "My wife doesn't feel comfortable. You need to leave." I laughed, nervously. I thought he was angry. I waited for him to take it back. Instead, he opened the door. "Go." I stood there holding a small bag, waiting for regret to appear on his face. It never did. That night, I slept on a bench near the bus station. The cold air burned my skin. Shame burned deeper. I kept asking myself what mistake I made raising him. In the morning, a social worker found me. She spoke softly, like I might break. That is how I ended up in an old age home. People think old age homes are peaceful. They are not. They are quiet because everyone there has already cried too much. I saw mothers who waited by the door every Sunday. Fathers who stared at walls, replaying old memories. I learned not to ask questions because everyone had the same answer. Days passed. Weeks. Months. My son never came. One night, lying awake, I realized something painful. If I waited to be rescued, I would die waiting. At 62 years old, I asked the manager if I could work. She smiled politely. "At your age?" "Yes," I said. "At my age." I started in the kitchen, cooking, cleaning, organizing supplies. I worked harder than anyone half my age. At night, when others slept, I watched free business videos on an old donated laptop. I wrote notes by hand because my fingers were slow with technology. I noticed something everyone ignored. The old age home outsourced cleaning, food, and maintenance to careless vendors who charged too much and did too little. I wrote a proposal. My hands shook when I sighed. I rewrote it again. Finally, they agreed to a 3-month trial. I hired 3 women from the home. Women's society had already given up on. We worked with care, with pride, with honesty. Costs went down. Quality went up. Other facilities noticed. By the time I turned 66, I had registered my own company. A service company run entirely by seniors. Cleaning, food services, care assistance. I was no one's burden anymore. Then one day, life came full circle. A man walked into my office, asking for a job interview. I looked up. It was my son. He didn't recognize me at first. When he saw my name on the wall, his face went pale. He had lost his job. His company shut down. No one trusted him. No references, no stability. "I need help," he said quietly. The woman he threw out into the night was now sitting across the desk. I asked him one question. "Would you hire someone who abandons responsibility when it becomes inconvenient?" He couldn't answer. I gave him a junior position. No power, no shortcuts, just work. He showed up early, stayed late, learned humility slowly. One evening he cried. "I thought strength meant cutting people off," he said. "I was wrong." I looked at him calmly. "Strength," I said, "is carrying people without crushing them." Today, he still works under me. Not because I enjoy control, but because lessons must be lived. I lost my home that night, but I found my worth. And that, is something no one can ever throw out again.